Greetings guys, it's Kazar. In a couple of days from the release of this video, we are going to finally get our first free title update for Monster Hunter Sunbreak. The monster I'm most excited to play against is Lucent Nargacuga. We haven't seen this monster since Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, so if you haven't played that game, this will be a fresh new challenge for you. With new monsters comes new gear, with different skills and slots for decorations, making room for many new creative builds. Lucent Nargacuga is affiliated with Poison, and so are its weapons. Or at least that's how it was in the past. We saw what happened with Camilleo's weapons in this game. I wanna hope that is not the case for this monster though. Now, let's break down why Poison is good at this game, and why you should even bother. But before that, I would like to thank Reddit user Ray Sylvan for his take on the topic and also the research he made beforehand. So, why Poison? First, let's look at the hunter's notes. There's very few important monsters that are weak to Poison, and by weak, I mean by the star system Capcom uses here. Apparently, the only monsters that are super weak to Poison according to our hunter's notes are the following: Great Izuchi, Arzuros, Lagombi, Baroth, Daimyo Hermitor, Ketsu, Tobi Kadachi, and Sagaru Magala. That doesn't look too good. However, there's much more to Poison than you might think. Let's say we have a meta set for fighting almost everything. That means we try to have as close to 50% affinity as we can, while slotting in Weakness Exploit 3, which makes our attacks towards monsters' weak points an almost, if not 100% chance to deal a critical hit. Pair that with critical boost and we deal a lot of damage when attacking weak spots. Yet, not all monsters have good hit zone values. Let's take Arzuros for example. Same goes for Aknakadaki, and its weak spot being the head it barely exposes. Baroth and his weak spot on its tiny hands, you get the idea. In these cases, dealing extra damage through Poison by hitting the monster anywhere can feel quite nice. Along with bad hit zone values, we have a lot of monsters that move around so much that you can't constantly deal damage to them. Yet Poison will keep your DPS up during these times, even by a small margin. I'm mainly talking about that stupid Volvidon and everything it does, Lagombi's dashes, Almudron swimming and jumping around, Bazarios surfing under the ground, Tigrex when he's spamming his charges and spins, Magnamalo running around, and many more. During these moves, you might not be able to damage these monsters by raw attacks, but Poison will still tick away on their HP. Now, let's talk about Foray for a second. Foray is a skill that gives a huge boost to our attack and affinity when we hit a monster afflicted by status effects, including Poison. The exact numbers are plus 10 raw attack for level 1, plus 10 raw attack and 10% affinity on level 2, and plus 15 raw attack and 20% affinity at level 3. The problem with Foray is that there's only a few armor pieces that currently have it, and it's also not a craftable decoration. If you run into a 2 Foray talisman, make sure to lock it, in case we don't get a Foray decoration in the future. But why is Foray so good with Poison? Well, it is like it was meant for Poison, cause unlike other status effects, Poison lasts for a minimum of 15 seconds, and all the way up to 35 seconds, depending on the monster you're fighting. On top of that, unlike other status effects, you can build up Poison while the monster is already poisoned. That's very good. Also, the poison persists even when the monster is paralyzed, or even asleep. A sleeping monster will still keep the poison debuff without waking up from the damage, meaning that if we are fast enough, the wake up hit will benefit from the damage and affinity Foray gives us. Now let's assume we play a weapon that doesn't require the constant use of stamina, so anything except the dual blades, bow, hammer, insect glaive, and maybe even the lance and the gun lance, since guarding lowers our stamina. If that is the case, it might be quite good to slot in the skill Maximum Might, which gives us affinity if we keep our stamina full for 3 seconds. At level 1, it gives us plus 10% affinity, at level 2, it's 20%, and at level 3, it's 30%. 30% affinity when our stamina is full, plus 20% affinity from the Foray skill when the monster is afflicted by Poison, plus 50% from our Weakness Exploit, means we will deal critical hits 100% of the time against a poisoned monster's weak spot, with way less slots needed. Currently, in order to get 30% affinity, we need 6 points of critical eye, but only 3 points of maximum might, making it much easier to use. Let's also look at Poison as a decoration. It's only tier 1, we can literally fit it in any set very easily. On top of that, we have Dango Specialist, a dango that makes status effects more potent, and it also stacks on top of our Poison attack 3. We can also equip our Palicos and Palamuts with poison weapons, as this will help us inflict poison damage more often and keep Foray up for longer. We don't really need to do this though, since attacks from our weapons will be enough to keep the monster poisoned almost throughout the entirety of the hunt. Does all this mean that poison weapons can be better than raw/elemental weapons? Well, as long as the weapon that inflicts poison doesn't have horrible raw or sharpness, I think that arguably poison weapons are much better, especially if you count Foray, which gives a raw boost of 15 attack at level 3, making any poison weapon with 15 to 20 less attack than a raw weapon much better already. The only problem is that the equipments that currently give Foray don't give any other good offensive skills. Let's look at the Espina's heal. They give poison attack 3 and Foray right off the bat, along with the tier 4 slot. Unfortunately, there's not many, if any, good offensive skills for 4 slots at the moment. Let's hope that with the new title update we get some new tier 4 jewels, preferably with weakness exploit, critical boost, etc. The new Nargacuga armor might also give us some interesting options. It might even have Foray as well, so I'm excited for that. There's more to poison than the things I've mentioned in this video, like different quests having different multipliers for status effects, and also multiplayer modifiers, which make poison not as viable with other people unless everybody runs poison, which might be the case in the future with the new weapons. It's still quite fun for solo though. Finishing off, I would like to say that even if poison doesn't end up being meta or the best possible thing to use at any given time, Lucent Nargacuga weapons might be much better than the poison options we have at the moment. Not everyone is a speedrunner, and poison might be the comfort build for a lot of players out there. I just wanted to show you that it's not as bad as you might think, and that it has a potential to be even better with the new title updates. There's many different ways to play the game. Using poison weapons is one of them, and the one I personally find the most interesting. I will be finishing the video with my poison SwagAxe build. As always, thank you all for watching until this point. Make sure to leave a like if you found this video useful, subscribe for more content, and ring the bell to be notified about new videos. Until then, stay safe.